Alright, g'day guys. So last night I had the players around for a continuation of our Princes of the Apocalypse campaign, um, and it's headed in an interesting direction where basically my players have taken one of the keeps in the game and claimed it for themselves. And basically there came a situation where one of the opposing forces they've been taking on decided to siege the castle and try to take it back from them. So obviously that turned into a massive combat encounter, and I thought I'd throw a video together to sort of just summarize what occurred, and basically some of the tools and the things that I use to make running that encounter easier. Realmworks and Harry Lab, absolute hats off because they made it absolutely possible for me to do that. Okay, so let's jump over now over to Realmworks and let's have a look. Alright, so in front of me you can see Realmworks, and just a bit of a warning here, there are some Princes of the Apocalypse spoilers contained in this content, so just if you are playing that, perhaps tune out. But let's jump down and have a look. So for anyone who's got down to Chapter 3, you'll know that the cult reprisals is something that is due to occur. But obviously this campaign is designed for lower level players, where I started my players at level 8, so I needed to create something that was a little bit more challenging for my players. So that's where I added in the assault on Riverguard Keep. Riverguard Keep is the keep that they took. You can see a picture of that keep here. And basically I decided to add in an encounter that would really sort of challenge them. And just some history here. The reason why I did this, for anyone who knows this campaign, is my players have been assaulting different cults, different elemental cults, sort of randomly. They've really been poking the bear, so to speak, literally going in and sort of doing single hits on these guys and then walking away and attacking another cult. Um, Really not quite an intelligent thing to do. Never wiping out any of the cults, never really stopping any of the cults, just prodding them enough so that the cult knew that they existed and knew that they were a threat. And that's why we came upon this siege situation. So to make it easier for myself, what I did is I came into here and I added in an extra encounter. You can see here I wrote a bit of backstory on why that counter would exist. I put my map in here, and then what I did is I sat down and basically statted out the keep. So I came through here and I gave some different ACs and health points to various elements of the keep, just in case the siege went that way where we were destroying buildings. I then came through and basically listed the defending forces of the assault. So in this case here, we've got 5 dwarves from the Hammer of Moradin who've been brought in to assist in defending the keep. Um, the players went over to the Summit Hall and sought assistance from Lady Ashin. And she came over with 5 guards as well. And there was some help that basically they have just basically as cooks, and there's a sailor in there as well. So I listed those and I created encounter files for them all. I did the same thing with the attacking forces. So I went through and actually designated sort of units. I put leaders in those units and I put the men in those units, and then I created an encounter file with those. Alright, so just to show you how that sort of occurs, I'll come here and I'll open up another version of Hero Labs. It's just loaded up on the other screen, so let's bring that over. Alright, so here's Hero Lab. Um, Anyone who's watched my videos before would know that I generally have all of my creatures and monsters, or even my NPCs, set up as individual elements inside Realmworks. There we go. So I've got the Hero Lab file for this guy here. And literally what I'd do is I'd have my copy of Hero Lab open with a blank slate, and I'd click this integrate button and I'd bring that in. I'll be there soon, darling. Okay, so once you've gone through and added in the player, mine's actually not going to work, probably because I've got too many open. So we'll just shut this one down. All right, so once you've got it, you can obviously integrate that player there. Hey, buddy. That integrates in, and then you can do that with anything that you sort of want in that fight. So I wrote the names of everyone I wanted in the fight, and then I came down and I can put the Black Earth Guards in, for example. And once they're in, then you can actually save that as an encounter. So come up here and go Save Portfolio As. And I put mine in the encounter folder within Hero Labs. And you save it in here as a file. All right, and that file will then contain all of these people. You could also come up here to Game Pastor, by the way, go Show Encounter Builder, and you could add in things from here. These are all the monster manual monsters, and that would add them into the encounter file as well. Then you can save that. Pro tip, make sure you put pictures in to here, all right? Because when you save it, that picture will be embedded. As you can see, the frogs didn't come across with one because the monster manual doesn't have any pictures associated due to licensing reasons. But the stuff I've put into Realmworks, I've saved them in Realmworks with the picture, which allows them to maintain that picture. All right, so once the picture's there, you save it. Come back into Realmworks, and then I created my mobs or my units, and I come in here and I clicked Add Snippet Below and put a Hero Lab portfolio. Come on. All right, and then you basically come in here and add your monsters to here. So let's go through and do this. You click open here and you load the data file, and you can basically load in the file that you want, and that will basically put that in. All right, now the benefit of this being, I want to save that. When you're at the table and you're wanting to integrate this all into Hero Lab, you can just basically have an open version of Hero Lab running. I'll bring that over. All right, so from here, I'd have that running in the background with my party on it, click integrate, and as you can see, it comes up with everyone that's in that file, and that brings them in. So that very quickly allows you to bring in a lot of people into this fight. Let's have a look at a bigger force. So this one's got 25 hobgoblins in it. And as you can see, I can quickly import all straight into this fight, and boom, off we go. All right, so that's a very easy way to sort of manage encounters on a mass sort of scale and bring them in. And then obviously once you've got Hero Labs running, you're coming over to your Show Tactical console, and you use this like normal. Now, I want to show you a tip here because this was very, very helpful for me last night. I ran all of the monsters as units that were coming in at individual or separate times. And what I would do is my players were obviously loaded into Hero Lab, and then I would bring in the monsters on top of those. And this is pretty cool. So come over to here, show your tactical console, make sure you're in a new combat, get it started, and obviously I would have already gone through with my players and done their initiative levels, so they would be ready to go. And then I'd bring in my next wave of fighters. So I click integrate, click OK. And this is where it's cool. So Game Master and Show Tactical Console. If you see down here, this integrate option, this was amazingly helpful. All right, I rolled my initiative for my stuff once. And I literally came in here and I put the initiative in for all of these guys. Now, these guys are currently separated from the fight. So it's very quick and easy for me to do this at this stage. Put them all in at the same initiative order. Which was absolutely vital because obviously we're running so many people. Put them all in and then basically click integrate. While I was doing this, my players had started attacking in some situations, and I used the fact that I had all of these guys isolated and sorted in a way that I could see them. So, you know, if a were rat took any damage, I could actually apply it here. 30 damage, for example. And then when I clicked integrate, that all came over. All right, so that was very cool. Now, the reason why I said add pictures earlier, because this is something that became very useful for me, I used the picture to identify what monster I was looking for. All right, and just to put it in perspective, I'll go through now and actually open the portfolio that we were using last night and show you just how many people we had in this fight, because it was absolutely massive. All right, I guess we could just scroll down through this list. As you can see here, these are all individual entities. I did run them as individual entities, and Hero Lab allowed me to do that. An absolute bucket load of monsters. Yes, my brain was hurting by the end of this. All right, so that's what it looks like there. Obviously, I can load any of these up. I can see them. I can see what abilities they have. I can see, if they had spells, I could easily bring those up. But what I was doing is I was using the tactical console. All right, we had combat going. My players all rolled initiative, and then as I went into the fight, I integrated more and more groups into the fight, and obviously using that ability I showed you before, where I had them before they integrated, I set all their initiative at the same level, and I ran each unit at the same initiative level, made things a lot easier. The pictures played a massive role in being able to identify who I was attacking. So when I had to apply damage, instead of going through and looking for Hobgoblin, I just came here and looked for a Hobgoblin section, found my Hobgoblins, applied damage. You can see the ones that were taken out of the battle as they died. They all dropped to the bottom, and we literally just used the turn counter and the initiative order to keep track of what was going. Um, Hats off to my players. It was a massive fight. It went on for probably 6 hours, and in that time we probably only got through 5 rounds. So it was a very slow game, which is going to happen whenever you're dealing with this amount of people. But my players were, well, let's face it, they're crazy. Instead of waiting behind their safe walls and their keeper, one guy actually did a forward flip off of the ramparts, landed on the ground, and ran screaming into a party of, I don't know, 50 hobgoblins or something. He's a bit crazy, um, but he was intelligent. He survived it somehow. Um, yeah, what a night. So just to run you through what occurred, if anyone's interested. My players were defending the Riverguard Keep. Wait for it to load. My players were defending the Riverguard Keep, and they had men on all the ramparts defending. Out from the west came a massive unit of hobgoblins and stone giants. The stone giants were throwing rocks onto the walls, trying to destroy the walls. There was a couple of burrow sharks riding bullays, so basically land sharks are able to dig through. And I played it so that the land sharks could create tunnels that other units could come in behind. So we had one come up here, we had one come up here, and one come up here. So we had 3 units attacking. We had a group of were-rats who swam round into the keep here and gained entrance here. And we've effectively had probably 4 massive fights going on. So one here, one here, one here, and then a massive one out in front of the Riverguard Keep. And it was a huge fight. The amount of people I brought in probably should have done a lot more damage than they did, but my players obviously probably fluked it in that they positioned everyone in really sort of good spots to sort of isolate the battles into something they could manage, and it went quite well. Eventually, the Stone Giants just gave up because there was just too much death around them, and they thought it wasn't worth their own life to continue. So, hats off, guys. Cheers for a good game. It was absolutely massive. And if you are struggling with managing combat at the table, if you're looking for something to manage a lot of combat at the table, obviously it's very different to manage 5 monsters versus I don't even know how many. The Hero Lab Combat Manager is a great way to do that. You can literally, click on a monster, apply damage, you can apply healing. All right, you can track what abilities they've got on them, whether they're blinded. You can see down here that guy's now blinded. If you want to know what they're doing, click the button. Hero Lab pops up, and you can obviously see their abilities. This guy's got a multi-tack. You can see hits with a Morning Star. It really gives you the information you need right there for you to do it. And Lone Wolf, well done. It did slog along, but it did it. If I could offer something that I would love, if there was a filter option up here somehow for me to type in the name of a monster and for it to filter everything in there, that would make my life a lot easier in this situation. Maybe in a text box that you type black and all the Black Earth Guards appear. That would make life great. Maybe some other things by, I don't know, challenge rating or initiative level even. That would be great. In a situation like this, I did find it was a bit of a struggle sometimes to find the monster that I wanted to do damage to, simply because there was just so many in the damn fight. But aside from that, it went pretty well. And the benefit was at the end, obviously, you can look up here and see how much XP was actually contained in the fight. So my players got to share in 71,650 XP, which they were ecstatic about. They didn't get all of it because there was a lot of NPCs in the fight that also took some of that XP. But yeah, well done, players. It was great. All right, there you go, guys. Hope that gives you sort of something to think about if you're planning a massive combat. Well, actually, I'm just going to kill back, actually. Let's just have a quick look here. I did hand this out. So just as an FYI, because I had so many NPCs in my fight that were helping defend the keep, I did hand this to my players beforehand, and they used this as sort of cheat sheets, and they controlled the NPCs for me. And I'll also mention that I brought in a extra person to play the DM for me. Well, not the DM, play the opposing commander. So instead of me sitting there and actually playing all of the enemy people, I had another guy who's not played with us for many months come in, and he was actually in charge of the units. So he told me where they were attacking, how they were attacking, when they were going to attack, and he rolled all the dice, and I managed Hero Lab, and I managed all of the rulings and the random effects and things like that. It works really well. So there you go, guys. Yeah, big session, absolute big session. My brain's still a bit of a mess. So if you got any questions, please ask them in the comments below. If there's any videos you'd like to see, please ask away. Have a good day, guys.